If you are a people that are hated by the rest of the world, and you forget that God's your shepherd, and you forget there are ravenous wolves roaming the countryside, and you just start to wander off as a sheep, you're in grave danger. Because it's not like God, or like you could have a great life with God, or just, maybe not such a great life, but it's all being fine. No, you're at risk. It's not a good thing to be a sheep and wander off from your shepherd. And that's where the nation of Israel is, and savage wolves have attacked us, and now we are in a fight for our lives. That's the short version, Bob,
Well, I appreciate that. Joel Rosenberg joining us today here on the Meeting House on Faith Radio. It is the 2024 National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville. So, Joel, here we are. I don't want to fast forward, but just in the interest of time, Israel is still at war.
Yes.
This is something, and I think that you see the headlines. Of course, what we've seen is just an unprecedented wave of anti-Semitism on college campuses. You have people that really don't understand the dynamics of what's taking place.
Right.
You have the church, and there are so many Christian leaders that recognize to some extent the biblical viewpoint regarding Israel, and so are standing with Israel. But nevertheless, the pounding day after day, not only from the media, but also some world governments, including, if I can say it like this, including our own, that Israel needs to stand down. They've been threatened, they've been attacked, but nevertheless, somehow the narrative has shifted to the point, as you mentioned earlier, that this is Israel's fault. Never mind the atrocities that you can't even talk about on Christian radio that have taken place. So we're really in I guess you might say, with respect to understanding and even with respect to the communication that we are receiving, there's a lot of confusion out there. So what are you seeing on the ground?
There's a lot of spiritual confusion. There's a lot of intellectual confusion. There's a lot of emotional confusion. Look, I want to say a couple things. First, I think it's important that evangelicals go back to first principles. In Genesis chapter 12, God says to Abraham, as he sets into motion what becomes the Jewish people, becomes the nation of Israel, he says, I will bless you. I bless those who bless you. But those who curse you, I will curse. We just have to understand there are consequences, good or not good, of standing with Israel and Jewish people. It doesn't mean you have to agree with every single thing that the Israeli government's doing or everything that all your Jewish friends think or say or do. No, that's not what God's saying. But he's saying the world has a responsibility, and especially the church, who knows God personally, has a responsibility to understand that the Jews are hated and that our job is to stand with and bless Israel. But we're also supposed to love the neighbors, right? Jesus commands us to love our neighbors. So who are our neighbors? Well, the Palestinians are certainly our neighbors, but they're also, some of them are our enemies. God allows us to say that someone's an enemy, right? This is not God is not woke, and he's not saying, well, they're not really enemies. They're just, you misunderstand them. They mean well. Sure, they butchered your children and they cut off their heads and they raped your daughters and they burned your people alive, but let's not call them an enemy. That would be unkind, it'd be unfair. No, Jesus allows us to say that person's an enemy, or that movement, or that country, or whatever, that military. That's important. The question then becomes, how? How do you love the Jewish people in Israel, even if you don't agree with us on every decision? Okay. But you do that, by the way, with your own friends and family. You don't agree with them on everything, but you love them with unconditional love because God loves them. And then you love the Palestinians. We as followers of Jesus who love Israel and stand with Israel in practical ways, also need to love the Palestinians. That doesn't mean we need to call on Israel to surrender, right? You don't surrender when people are slaughtering your children. Like if the elementary school down your street gets taken over by a dozen skinhead neo-Nazis with, AR-15s, start killing all the kids, and the SWAT team and the police arrive, you don't want your mayor to say, listen, let's just call a ceasefire. Let's not get crazy. No, you want those SWAT team members to go in, hopefully arrest, but if not arrest, then kill the people killing your children. That's where there'll be justice. That's where there'll be peace.